Here's the script based on the text you provided. So my wife and I have a 5-year-old son. Our group of friends mostly consists of couples with kids, as we're nearing our 40s, so a lot of our gatherings include meeting up as entire families, kids included. One person in this group, Emma, used to be my roommate in college. She's married and has her own kids, and we hang out with her and her husband sometimes in a group setting, but rarely on our own. Emma also tends to run late, often. This is all relevant to the story. Since our son is an only child, we sometimes worry that he won't learn to share or get along with other kids. To prevent this, I often encourage him to engage with other kids when we're in public places like playgrounds or at the beach. I buy extra toys to share, which works great, and I have a generally good relationship with the parents in our neighborhood. One day, about a year ago, my wife and I planned to take our kid to the pool. I packed a large bag of pool toys. Emma texted me, saying her husband was away, and she was looking for something to do with the kids. I told her we were going to the local pool, and she was welcome to join us, though we were heading there early. We arrived at the pool early and got a good spot poolside. I started playing with my son, and soon another kid from my son's kindergarten class joined us. We knew his family, and his mom and my wife were friendly, so he was welcome to join. The kids were having fun, and the moms went for a swim, leaving me to watch the kids. Then Emma and her kids showed up. I gave out toys to her kids, and all was going well. My son's friend asked for another toy, and I handed it to him. Emma commented on how cute he was and said he looked just like me. I laughed and said, "Okay, cool, but this isn't my kid." The kid did look a bit like me, making it hilarious. When my wife and the kid's mom came back, I told them the story, and we all had a friendly chuckle, but thought little of it. Fast forward to a few months ago, at a friend's group gathering. As we were leaving, I made a joke to Emma's husband, referencing the pool incident, saying, "Just make sure it's actually my kid and not some random kid who kind of looks like me." He seemed confused and angry. I explained the pool story, but neither he nor Emma laughed. It felt awkward, so I said goodbye and left. Later, I texted Emma to see if everything was all right, but got no reply. I texted again a few days later, still no reply. I sensed I messed up, but if she didn't want to talk, I wasn't going to force it. A few days ago, I went to an engagement party where Emma was. She was livid and confronted me in front of everyone. Because of my joke, her husband was furious. Apparently, Emma had previously commented on another kid looking like someone who wasn't his father, which led to family drama because that person was cheating. Her husband thought she would know better than to comment again, and he believed I was mocking him for his family drama. They are now separated, and she blamed me for ruining her marriage. I apologized profusely, saying I didn't know, and if she didn't want the story told, she should have said so. She accused me of making excuses. This became a scene, and I left after quickly congratulating the engaged couple. I later heard it was all anyone could talk about at the party, and now the engaged couple is mad at me too. Emma is even more upset because now everyone knows her drama. I've been unfriended and unfollowed by several people. Some friends think I couldn't have known better, and the joke was benign. Others say it was in poor taste to throw her under the bus. And I'm the jerk. Emma's best friend thinks I knew about the issue with her husband and that I'm covering my own butt. It's been a few days, and some friends have stopped talking to me. I feel really guilty about making the joke, and I obviously wouldn't have made it had I known the trouble it would cause. I like Emma, and I didn't want to hurt her. I also liked her husband. I'd like to say that maybe he was wrong to let the marriage implode like that because of a stupid joke. But at the same time, I don't exactly know his family drama and their history, nor the specifics of his relationship with Emma, so I can't really say he's wrong or overreacting. The entire thing just kind of sucks. My wife sort of got my back, though. She thinks the joke was hilarious and actually thinks me breaking up their marriage makes it even funnier because WTF. She also loves crazy Reddit stories, so she sent me to post this. So at least I got that going for me, which is nice. Am I the idiot? Now for a few important comments. One commenter said, "Nah, It sounds like she's being blamed for someone else's infidelity, and her whole in-law family is gaslighting her. I actually kind of feel bad for her." I responded, "I haven't actually thought of that. That entire thing must be really hard on her. I will try talking to her again in a few days, try to clear the air again, because she is a friend and she is clearly going through stuff. Like, I'm not super thrilled about how she called me out at the party, but at the same time, I don't know, I've known her for over 15 years. Another commenter asked, "Info. I'm curious if you reached out to the husband to try and explain, especially considering how everyone in your group is supposed to be friends. And if you did reach out to him, what did he say?" I replied, "I did not, and probably will not, since he and I were never really close like that. I liked him well enough, but he wasn't really the friendliest guy, at least with me." Another commenter said, "NTA, Emma's husband wanted an out and you gave him one. It wasn't your fault and you shouldn't have even apologized. There was nothing wrong with your joke. Honestly though, your friend group sounds like it thrives on drama, and you're probably better off not being friends with the people who took Emma's side." Another commenter added, "At all. And I love how she freaks out on you and publicly airs her dirty laundry, then blames you for everyone learning about the situation she blurted out." Now for the update. After posting, reading replies, and thinking it over, I decided to reach out to Emma one final time. Some of you thought I shouldn't, and that these were, in fact, not my monkeys. Others made me realize that Emma was probably in a shitty situation with her husband and his family, and was actively being gaslit. While we're not as close as we used to be very close. She helped me pick out a spot and let me borrow her car for my first date with who later became my wife. She was a significant part of my support system during some very rough times in my life. Despite everything, I still felt like I cared about her and wanted to work things out. This is no longer the case. From my perspective, we were friends. Then, when she met her husband, we naturally drifted apart. And then this thing happened out of nowhere. This was not what it looked like from her perspective. How do I know? Well, buckle up, because this is absolutely unhinged. Last night, before going to bed, I texted her a long, thoughtful message. I explained that I do apologize for the part I played in ruining her marriage, and I understand she is going through a tough time. I understand if she wants nothing more to do with me, but if and when she feels she wants to talk it out, she is welcome to reach out, and I leave the ball in her court. I showed this to my wife, and she was practically giddy. She told me there is no way this shoot doesn't blow up in my face, and I should have just cut my losses, like many of y'all said. Emma showed up at my house at around 7 a.m. unannounced. I asked WTF. She said she really needs to talk to me. I called my wife to the door and explained this. She sent me off with this woman because she understands this shoot can only go poorly, and apparently she is here for it, and it's my own fault at this point. So as I said, from my perspective, we were friends. We drifted apart. From her perspective, for the last 15 years, she has been playing some weird game of 4D chess, or 2 different games of 4D chess. Apparently, she had feelings for me back in college, and she was trying to nice girl her way into a relationship with me, and by being there for me when my dad died and when I was struggling with being single. She always gave everything because she just assumed I would, at some point, come around. You'd think that me getting married or her getting married would change that, and it did, just badly. Apparently, her husband knew about her feelings, which is why he always kept me at a distance. We never drifted apart. He explicitly asked her not to meet with me anymore outside of large social gatherings. That day at the pool? Yeah, that was her sticking it to him because he was away cheating on her or something, and he didn't like her hanging around me scantily clad. It wasn't just that he was upset at the joke. He was upset because apparently I was having an affair with his wife and rubbing it in his face. Makes no sense? I know. It gets worse. That thing at the wedding? Well, at least she didn't plan that. I told our friends getting engaged that I wasn't coming. She asked and verified this. She wasn't expecting to see me, and they told her I wouldn't be there. But once I showed up, she decided to exploit it. She intended to have a huge scene with me so that she could tell her estranged husband and friends that I ambushed her because she broke off our affair. Our affair. Apparently, we had an affair. Oh, what affair is that, you ask? I did too. Apparently, the story some people got was that she and I were having an affair, and it ended and I was stalking her. Her husband left her because he found out. So people more inclined to believe her just thought that was what happened and wanted nothing to do with me anymore. So why did her husband actually leave? Well, some of you called it. According to her, he was cheating on her a bunch and overall not a nice person. She never actually cheated on him, but used me to pretend that she did without my knowledge. So after the joke at the gathering, which may have indeed been in poor taste, they had a huge fight and he left the house. As for the thing with his family, from what I gather, it was some dude sleeping with his cousin's wife or some such shoot. So anyway, she tells me all this insanity and tops it off with that my message really moved her and we can still be friends. The reason she rushed to show up at 7 a.m.? My message made her realize I am actually the only one who really cares about her, and everyone else in her life is fake and don't really care. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but now this sounds like some really manipulative shoot to me. And now I'm thinking back to a lot of our previous interactions, and a lot of them also seem like that to me now. I am not a confrontational person. I was willing to accept that I messed up. Maybe some of you were right, and the joke was in poor taste, and I'm a huge jerk for making it because I thought that if he knew the story, he would get the callback, and if he didn't, I'd tell him a funny story about his wife. I accept all that criticism. But this? No way. I was done. I tell her I am done with her nonsense. She can get back to her husband, leave her husband, keep any friends she wants because I am done. I can forgive a lot, but she had been basically not communicating with me for over 15 years. I was telling her everything about my life and my feelings, and I was absolutely appalled by just how much of a one-way street it turned out to be. I feel like I didn't ever really know her. Maybe I played a role in that too. Maybe I was self-centered or selfish and didn't consider her emotions or her signs. I don't know. And you know what? At this point, I don't think it matters. She lied to me so much. She lied to so many people so much. I just don't care anymore. I don't think there's anything left to this friendship to fix. And the worst part, I just gave you this huge update, and I genuinely don't know how much of it is true. Maybe she was completely honest with me. Maybe she lied about everything and we're still playing 4D chess. Who knows? I certainly don't. And that, more than anything, is why this friendship is over. Because even if I could forgive everything, I can never really trust her. So that's that. There will probably not be any more updates because this was meant to be a lighthearted post and it turned out into a total clusterfuck, and I'm just so tired and so sad. I'm sorry if this wasn't as readable or as coherent as my previous post. This just happened, and I am just exhausted. My wife has been very supportive, though I assume at some point I'm due some well-earned I told you so's. She knows there wasn't an affair, and certainly no stalking, and most of my friends probably know that too. I may try reaching out to some others because, well, I don't know, maybe they were told even worse things about me. But I am just done with this. And now I'm going to spend what's left of this weekend with my family and try to put this behind me. Thank you all for reading and for your advice. Now for a few comments. Commenter 1. Wow, what a roller coaster. It sounds like you made the right call in cutting ties. The situation was beyond your control, and you can't be responsible for someone else's complex web of lies and manipulation. Focus on your own well-being and enjoy the support of your wife and family. Commenter 2. So she's been telling people you had an affair? Run for the hills, open a group chat with the friends, tell the truth, and whoever doesn't believe you, drop them. If she takes the narrative, it would be your word against hers. Now for the update 3 days later. So if you read my original post and first update, some of you thought things were going to get pretty crazy. Before I give the update, I should probably clarify some things that were brought up in comments. First, when I said we were roommates, I did not mean we shared a literal room. We lived off campus in an apartment with another friend. Each had their own room. Second, to clarify, and more on this later, the only person she told about having an affair with me long-term was her husband, now ex. Everyone else heard about it only after the engagement party outburst. Third, my house already has cameras and security. My dogs and her never really got along, so I don't think she's going to be trying anything anyhow. Suppose they were the first to know what's up. Okay, on to the actual update. While unfortunately I do not have the conversation with her recorded, I do have a text from a later time where she confirms making it up. I did not block her because my wife said it might be better to let her incriminate herself further and have it documented, so I just let her do it for a while. And once I got her to admit she made the affair up, I stopped responding. Got increasingly angrier text, but nothing yesterday, so hopefully that's done with. She said some pretty nasty stuff about my wife, and I considered responding, but my wife laughed it off and said that's just how sore losers are. And I shouldn't engage any further, so I didn't. I also have screenshots from her husband where she talks about the affair she is supposedly having with me. How do I have those, you ask? Well, realizing just how much she lied about to me, it occurred to me that almost everything I know about her husband, let's call him Dave, comes even indirectly from her. And by this point, I suspect she might not be the most honest conveyor of events. So I took a risk and texted him to meet up. We had a long talk, and again, he might be lying, of course. But from what he said, he actually never cheated on her, though she often accused him of that. The innocent mistake she made with his family? Yeah, she felt his cousin's wife was being a little bit too familiar with him, Dave, and started actively spreading the rumor the kid was his, maliciously. This understandably caused huge backlash and was one of the many things which caused Dave to want to leave. The interaction with me, in that context, was just the final straw. Thinking of that now, the mistake she made with me might not have been so innocent, and I think she might have tried to start some stuff if my wife or the kid's mom were less good-natured about the whole thing. So anyway, Dave is fighting for full custody, so that can get really ugly. I don't know the legal nuance of divorce, but I assume he's in for a storm. He really likes a lot of our mutual friends and has been a part of the group for quite a while, so he doesn't really want to have to leave or anything. And to be fair, having talked to him versus Emma, I tend to agree. We talked for a long time and he seems to be a pretty good guy, though I have been wrong before. And I offered some support because, well, having read my posts, you can probably assume what divorcing Emma is like. He worries about it, and I understand him completely. So I offered support best I could, and will probably continue to do so. So as for my friends, I sort of took your advice, but not really. I didn't do a group text, but I did give a short summary of what happened and some choice screenshots to most of my friends. This started some conversation, and a lot of tea was spilled. And some realizations were made regarding the fact that a lot of drama that plagued our group over the years can actually be attributed to misunderstandings attributed to Emma. More tea ensued. Wife is having a blast. So yeah, some of my friends were gobsmacked since they didn't really hear Emma's story, but understood what a clusterfuck this was. Others were understanding. Emma's best friend blocked me, so she got nothing, but I suspect she'd remain unswayed regardless. And I suppose that's good. Most people I talked to felt we should probably cut contact from Emma, and that would be that. Her house in our neighborhood is owned by Dave, and she already moved out, so we're not supposed to be seeing too much of her day to day. I don't want to demonize her. I don't think she was evilly cackling as she tried to ruin lives. I think she is a very troubled person, and I still hope she finds peace and friends and relationships that would help her through whatever she is going through, and mostly a good therapist. But this is no longer my circus, and she is not my monkey. And so I hope she does all that way the frick away from me. As for my wife, here things get a little tricky. See, my wife confessed that she and Dave were having an affair all this time, and so we are getting a divorce. I'm kidding about the last part, of course. God, could you imagine? No, my wife is awesome and remained awesome. Since the situation seems to be mostly resolved, she is now allowed to tease me about it, which she had been. A lot. I might take a while to live this down, but otherwise we are doing well. And for the most part, things seem to have settled down with my friends, though I may want to reevaluate some of my relationships with some of the ones who were more inclined to believe some pretty bad shit about me. And yeah, that's about it. Sorry, there wasn't really the crazy showdown some of you may have expected. I do think this thing is behind us now, and thank you all for reading and for your advice. Am I the idiot for cutting off my manipulative mother after discovering her lies about my allergies? I'm using a throwaway account because I have family on Reddit. Ever since I was a little girl, my parents have told me that I am allergic to both milk and chocolate. The story goes that I broke into severe hives on my very first Halloween. My mom had given me some milk chocolate, and I had to be rushed to the hospital with hives and breathing problems, where I was diagnosed with both chocolate and milk allergies. Ever since then, I have never been allowed to eat anything containing chocolate or cow's milk. Over the summer, one of my college friends from out of state invited me to come stay with her for a few weeks. While I was in her state, I decided to use the opportunity to visit my godmother/aunt, who I haven't been able to see since I was a young child. My aunt was thrilled to see me, and we spent a whole day hiking and just catching up. When we stopped for lunch, my aunt pulled out some granola bars, but they had chocolate in them, so I couldn't eat them. I told her that I was allergic to chocolate, and she was stunned. My aunt told me that I have never been allergic to chocolate, and that my mom was lying to me. She told me the story of how I had gotten ill from daycare, and my mom had tried to sue the daycare owner for some stupid reason that no one was sure of. My mom was pissed off because she thought the daycare owner was flirting with my dad, and she wanted to get the daycare shut down. My mom then invented the story about me and the chocolate at the Halloween party. She made sure not to tell the daycare about the fake allergy, and then waited for the daycare to feed me food with chocolate in it so that she could sue. When that didn't work, my mom then invented a story about me being allergic to milk. When Aunt tried to call her out on it, my mom stopped speaking to her, and that silence has continued until the present. Needless to say, I was stunned. I wanted so badly to believe that my mom was telling the truth and that my aunt was lying. I waited until we got back to my aunt's house, and I took a bite of one of the granola bars, and I was not allergic at all. I was very upset and decided to call my dad. Our conversation was so crazy and out of nowhere that I don't know what else to do but type it out. The conversation went like this. Me, Dad, were you aware that I am not actually allergic to chocolate and milk like you and Mom have told me? Don't be ridiculous. You've never been able to eat chocolate without a reaction. Why would we make that up? Me, I'm not trying to accuse you of making it up. I was just asking if you were aware that I do not have the allergy. I just ate some chocolate and I didn't have any reaction to it. Did I ever get any allergy tests done? I will have to ask your mother. I'm upset that you are trying to call us liars over this. Me, when did I say anyone was lying? What are you talking about? My mom then jumped into the conversation. Speakerphone. Honey, don't you remember that you had hives at your 10th birthday party? Your friend had given you a Tootsie Pop, and you were allergic to the chocolate. Mom, I never had a 10th birthday party, and I don't know what you're talking about. I was just curious if I ever had a real allergy test done for chocolate, because I was just able to eat some without a reaction. I'm just trying to figure out if I can eat chocolate or not now. I don't know why you need to know if you had a test or not. You can't eat chocolate because we say you can't eat chocolate. You're being a little liar right now. How dare you say we never gave you a birthday party that year? You've always been ungrateful, and now you can't even remember the party we gave you. Me, Mom, I know I never had a 10th birthday party because I was at summer camp. Why are you trying to make me believe that I did? My mom then started screaming at me, and I just hung up the phone because it was so loud and I couldn't hear any individual words. I silenced my phone and watched as she proceeded to call me 40 times in a row. The entire time my aunt was watching in horror. My aunt then gave me a hug and told me that this is why she doesn't have a relationship with my mother. My mom has always done this, lied to people, and then tried to convince them it was the truth. I am very upset about this entire situation. The conversation was simply one of the craziest things I've seen, and I don't know who these people are anymore. It creeped me out, and I don't think I ever want to talk to them again, or else they will try to turn on me. Am I right in wanting to cut these people out of my life? Now for a few comments. One commenter said they were amazed I hadn't figured it out sooner, as they have allergies and occasionally accidentally eat something they're allergic to. I replied that my parents had chocolate and milk banned from the house and always told my teachers about my allergies at the beginning of each school year. I also had to keep an EpiPen in my car starting after I got my license, just in case. I didn't have any reason to doubt them until a few months ago. I also added that my mom and dad are two peas in a pod and best friends. If she's a narcissist, then I'm 100% positive he is one too. I can't afford an allergy test, but at least I know I'm not going to die from chocolate. I don't think I'll be able to pretend that I forgot about the party because it was so hurtful that she tried to lie to me about it. I don't ever want to speak to her again. She doesn't even remember my birthdays, and she's my mom. Now for the update a few months later. It's been a while, but I felt the need to update because my mom purchased a one-way ticket to Crazy Town after I made my first post. To summarize what I have found out since my last post, I am not allergic to chocolate. Chocolate is amazing, and I am now addicted to the chocolate waterfall at Golden Corral. I am not allergic to milk. I am mildly lactose intolerant, but I was always told it was an allergy to a protein in the milk. I can drink Lactaid with no issues. I had an allergy test done, and it confirmed that I am not allergic to anything except for pollen and some animal dander. My mother is a psycho. After I made my original post, I decided that I was going to cut contact with my parents except through email. My mom called me over 1,000 times the first week, and I eventually had to get a new phone and simply stopped answering the old phone and let the battery in it die. To put this in perspective, she used to call me 2 to 3 times a week, and this sudden increase was pure insanity. I requested to be moved into one of the more private dorm buildings because I was concerned for my privacy. I didn't tell anyone except my college friends about the move and thought everything would be fine. Everything was fine for a few weeks until I got a call from one of the adjunct professors to help tutor one of the new students. My school has a master tutor list, and any student can call the tutors and arrange for help for free. I told the adjunct I would meet the student in the library in a few, grabbed my books, and walked over to the library. Lo and behold, the new student was my mom. My mother decided that she would enroll in classes as a student to contact me. When I saw her, I froze and immediately tried to leave the library, but she followed me outside and wouldn't leave me alone. I eventually managed to duck into one of the fraternity apartments and was able to lose her, but she has been basically stalking me on campus ever since. I tried to report her to the school, but the campus police told me that since she never made any threats, there's nothing I can do. I tried reporting her to the normal police as well, but was told the same thing. My mom has not left me any voicemails or texts or anything at all that I can use to prove what she's doing. My RA has ensured that my mom is banned from my dorm building, but beyond that, I am running out of options. My mom posted on Facebook that she is signing up for the same classes as I need to complete my major next semester, and I don't know what else I can do to stop the crazy. She claims that she didn't do anything to hurt me and that I am just lying about the chocolate and milk allergies. My aunt had to go out of the country for work, and I feel so alone dealing with all of this. My dad has basically ditched and moved out of my mom's house, and I haven't been able to get in contact with him either. Any ideas for how to stop the crazy? Now for a few important comments. One commenter suggested being a mean girl and taking charge. I replied that I don't think she's physically or financially dangerous. The only way she can hurt me is mentally and emotionally. I've been able to play it off to my friends so far because she is living and breathing the stereotype of the crazy Asian mother. If I can get this meeting arranged, I'm going and drinking a carton of chocolate milk. I'm not worried about her because she's always been this crazy. This is just the first time that her anger has been directed at me. When asked how my mom found my schedule, I explained that she found out from the degree catalog they publish each year. She signed up for one of the classes I had left and doesn't need any prerequisites. She's actually really smart and somehow managed to test out of a lot of the core classes. When told to contact the department head or professor and have her removed, I said I'm typing up an email to the department chair now and I'm waiting for a call back from the student affairs office. I've still got the phone, but the police wouldn't even look at it when I tried to tell them about her stalking me. It's an iPhone, so it saves all the records of when she tried to call me. Now for an update. I contacted the student affairs department and they arranged a meeting between myself and my mom regarding the stalking. At the meeting, the administrator heard both sides of our stories and caught my mom in another lie. My mom tried to claim that she hadn't contacted me in months. She denied calling me repeatedly, denied trying to get tutoring from me, and denied everything she did. She tried to act like she was the victim and that I was just a mean and disrespectful daughter. That's when I produced my iPhone and showed the administrator the call log from when my mom called me over 1,000 times in a row. My mom then tried to deny that the number was her cell number, but the administrator looked it up in the student database, and it proved she was lying. The administrator made us both sign contracts that said we must not contact each other for the remainder of the school year. Otherwise, we would be suspended from classes. My mom was forced to change her schedule so that she would not be in the same classes as I was in. The administrator made it clear that if she tried to circumvent the contract, she could have her student ID banned from entering the student center or other buildings if I was inside. After the meeting ended, I was so happy and I felt free for the first time in weeks. A few nights later, my dad called me and left a voicemail informing me that my mom tried to commit unalived with sleeping pills and that she was going to the hospital. I thought it was fake at first, so I called the hospital and they put me through to my dad who was in the waiting room. My dad laid into me pretty hard and called me names about the whole situation and then told me that if I didn't want my mom to die, I shouldn't have made her life miserable. Then a commenter named SE1 said, "Honey, it's not your fault. Not even a little. She is a very sick person. This unalived attempt is the inevitable conclusion of a long struggle with serious mental illness. Also, while we take all threats of unalived seriously on this sub, her failure to unalive herself is notable. It is not hard to unalive yourself. Even pop culture offers a few methods which are surefire, and a quick Google search will quickly turn up a dozen more. The fact that she didn't look for this information and didn't complete her unalived suggests that this was more of an attempt to manipulate than an attempt to leave the planet. I qualify this quickly with a link to unalived hotlines should anyone be reading this who is considering unalived genuinely. It's a nasty topic to be sure, but it needed to be said. She isn't dead, and that's significant. Thanks for saying this. My mom is incredibly intelligent and resourceful, and I know that if she really wanted to die, she would have been successful. She can recite stats off the top of her head, and I've heard her saying before that most successful suicides involve guns. I know for a fact that she knows what it takes for unalived, and she's smart enough to find a way to hurt herself without leaving lasting damage. She also made sure to put me down on her list of approved visitors and sign all the paperwork so that the nurses can tell me information without violating HIPAA. She knows that I'm the type of person who would have called the hospital, and then I would know all the details, and she could guilt me with them. Am I the idiot for telling my sister to bring wine instead of her bizarre Thanksgiving experiments? I'm hosting Thanksgiving this year, and every family member typically brings a dish. My sister, who is lovely in every other way, insists on cooking something homemade every time. The issue? She's not a great cook. She has managed to turn classic dishes into borderline inedible creations. Last Thanksgiving, she brought her special recipe stuffing that was over-seasoned with random spices like cinnamon and cardamom. It was dry, and the flavors were confusing and totally off for stuffing. Only one person took a small bite, and the rest went untouched. Another year, she brought a green bean casserole with a strange, chewy texture. She later admitted she used coconut milk and almond flour to experiment. No one wanted seconds of that either. Since I'm responsible for this year's gathering, I wanted to keep the menu consistent so that people could enjoy a cohesive meal. I thought I'd avoid drama by asking her to bring non-food items instead, like wine, soda, or flowers. I explained that I wanted to make things easy and streamlined, and I'd handle the main dishes, but she didn't take it well. She got offended and told me I was being controlling and shutting her out of the family gathering. She accused me of making her feel inadequate and said Thanksgiving is about everyone contributing, not me deciding what's acceptable. I told her that everyone appreciates her effort, but she could contribute in other ways and still be part of it. She doubled down and said she's bringing her famous green bean casserole, whether I like it or not. Now, my mom and a couple of other family members have chimed in, saying I should let her bring whatever she wants, because it's Thanksgiving, and it's the thought that counts. They're acting like I'm committing some huge offense by wanting the food to be enjoyable for everyone and not have random experimental dishes that no one will eat. But I feel like I'm just trying to keep the meal enjoyable and, frankly, edible. I don't think it's wrong to want guests to enjoy the food, especially since I'm putting in a lot of effort to host. Am I really being unreasonable here? Now for a few important comments. One commenter said, YTA, it's one dish that everybody knows is bad and won't eat. Why is it a big deal? I replied, I get where you're coming from, but it's not just one dish. It's every year, and every year she brings multiple dishes with strange combinations that no one eats. It feels awkward because she keeps pushing people to try her food, and you're stuck pretending it's not that bad or trying to avoid it altogether. It also feels like a waste of time, effort, and money, especially since it's supposed to be a big family meal where we enjoy the food together. I just want people to actually look forward to the meal, not feel obligated to pretend they're enjoying her experiments. I didn't think it'd be a big deal to ask her to bring something else. It's not like I'm uninviting her, but maybe I could have handled it differently. Another commenter was curious about other things she's made. I responded with a list. 1. Thanksgiving 2019. She made a spicy cranberry sauce with whole chunks of jalapeno. It made people's mouths burn while eating turkey. 2. Christmas 2020. A fusion mac and cheese with wasabi and horseradish mixed in. It was very unexpected and caused coughs and watery eyes. 3. Easter 2021. A carrot salad with shredded carrots, raisins, and sardines. She claimed it was based on a Mediterranean recipe. 4. Last Thanksgiving. The infamous cinnamon cardamom stuffing, which tasted like a holiday candle. 5. Family barbecue this past summer. A barbecue tofu with an odd vinegar peanut butter sauce. Most of it ended up going home with her. Another commenter suggested, let her bring it. Maybe she's been practicing and it's good. If not, maybe she'll get the hint. I replied, I see what you're saying, but honestly, she's been practicing for years, and it hasn't improved. If anything, she's getting more experimental and doubling down on weird flavors and substitutions. And I don't think she'll take the hint. She's pretty proud of her cooking and genuinely seems to think we're just not appreciating her creativity. If I thought it would lead to her realizing it's not working, I'd let it go. But instead, she just gets upset if people don't eat it, and it becomes this whole thing. I'm just trying to keep things simple and enjoyable for everyone without the awkwardness. Maybe there's a middle ground I'm missing. Another commenter offered a soft twist. You're the idiot, saying, just let her bring what she wants. It's not hurting you. You don't have to eat it. It might even be fun to pretend it's the best thing ever and throw some away when she isn't looking to make her feel good. I replied, I get that, and maybe I am overthinking it. It just feels like a small battle I'd rather not have every year, especially when I'm hosting and trying to make sure everyone genuinely enjoys the meal. I mean, I can definitely go with the smile and nod approach for the sake of family peace, but it does feel a little exhausting to pretend every time. I guess I just don't want to encourage her thinking that everyone actually loves it, especially when it's clearly not working. But you're right, it's just food, and maybe I should focus more on making her feel included than on the menu being perfect. I'll try to keep this in mind and relax about it. Now for the update. Things have escalated fast. I tried to compromise, but it's already turning into a whole thing, and Thanksgiving is still a few weeks away. After our last conversation, my sister was being pretty cagey about what she planned to make, so I reached out to my mom, hoping she could help smooth things over. Instead, she got defensive, saying I'm overthinking and that it's just one dish. I told her I wasn't sure it was just one dish anymore, especially after hearing about my sister's grocery haul, including canned oysters and edible glitter. Then my mom let slip that my sister has been hard at work on some creative menu she's planning as her Thanksgiving surprise. Apparently, she's been telling the family group chat, which I wasn't included in, by the way, that I'm being controlling and that she wants to expand everyone's palate with something truly unique. To top it off, my cousin sent me a screenshot from the group chat where my sister said she's bringing not one, but 3 dishes to Thanksgiving now. She's calling them her Thanksgiving Trio experience, complete with their own place settings and little menu cards she's designing. I'm officially panicking because I have no idea what she's planning to serve, and from what I've heard, it's not remotely traditional. Half the family thinks I'm overreacting, while the other half is texting me with things like, is she really bringing glittered sweet potatoes? I feel stuck. If I try to control it anymore, I'm the bad guy. But if I don't, Thanksgiving might turn into a tasting event for my sister's avant-garde cooking. So yeah, Thanksgiving is weeks away, and it's already become a family spectacle. I don't know whether to brace myself or just preemptively order pizza. Now for a few comments. When told to let the sister take charge for the meal, the original poster said, "Haha, I have to admit that idea is very tempting. Letting her take the spotlight with her Thanksgiving Trio experience while I sit back and sip on a glass of wine sounds like one way to make a memorable holiday, especially if everyone gets to see exactly what I was trying to save them from. It would be kind of poetic to just lean into the chaos and let her creations be the star of the show, for better or worse. I have a feeling it would definitely be a Thanksgiving to remember, even if I'd have to brace myself for the family reactions. It's like a mix of malicious compliance and hands-off hosting, and I kind of love the idea of just throwing in some edible arrangements, a ton of drinks, and calling it a day. And yeah, if it all goes sideways, I'll have plenty of remember that one Thanksgiving stories to pull out in the future. Thanks for the laugh and the wild suggestion. This might just be a holiday fantasy, but it's definitely a fun one to think about. Then a commenter named Inigo's Left Hand said, "Honestly, I think you should just let her do this. It can be a new family tradition. Your sister brings something weird and inedible. You all ignore it and poke fun at her terrible cooking later. Is this really something you want to create drama over?" The original poster replied, "You're right. Maybe I've been looking at this all wrong. Letting her bring her unique dishes could actually become a funny little tradition if we let it. I mean, every family has its quirks, and maybe this is just one of ours. Instead of stressing about it, I could just embrace it and let her dishes be part of the Thanksgiving lore that we joke about later. It's definitely not worth creating unnecessary drama over. And if we all just go with it, I bet it'll be less awkward and maybe even entertaining in its own way. Thanks for the reminder to just roll with it and not take it so seriously." Then a commenter named Jenny B said, "Ooh, please update us after Thanksgiving. I can't wait to hear about her culinary experiments." The original poster replied, "Haha, don't worry. I'll definitely keep you all posted. I'm honestly half curious and half terrified to see what she ends up bringing. If past holidays are any indicator, we might be in for some very creative dishes, and I have a feeling the family reactions alone could make for quite the story. So stay tuned. If anything wild goes down, I'll be back with all the juicy details after Thanksgiving. Fingers crossed for a low-drama meal, but let's be real, I'm probably not that lucky."